You ever look at a pile of splintered wood and realize your whole world's been reduced to debris? Yeah, that was me just standing there where my fishing cabin used to be, barely able to breathe, while Linda, the HOA president, stood close enough that I could smell her perfume, looking at me with that smug little grin, thinking she just made herself queen of the lake. What Linda didn't know, and this is the part that gets me through the nights when I can't sleep, she was sitting on a secret so big, so stupidly obvious, it was about to flatten her entire fake kingdom. See, I'd had enough. So I made up my mind right then. I was going to buy the whole damn lake and evict every last one of them. If you think that sounds insane, you're right, but just wait. Justice sometimes shows up wearing muddy boots and a tired old ball cap. You want to know why that pile of wood mattered so much? To most people, my cabin was just a crooked shack made of cedar logs. But to me, it was where I put myself back together after the service. 20 years in uniform leaves you with a lot of noise in your head, and that place, Silver Creek Lake, was the only spot quiet enough to drown it out. That porch, my dad built it by hand. I watched the sunrise burn away the mist, taught my daughter Sarah how to bait her first hook, saw her heal out there after she got sick. That place held every broken part of us and made us whole. So when Linda strutted up the path, clipboard swinging like a weapon, you know trouble was coming. She didn't even bother with a good morning, just marched right up, standing stiff as a drill sergeant, and barked out, "Mr. Reynolds, we have a problem." I could have laughed if it didn't hurt so bad. "Morning to you too, Linda." But she wasn't here to chit-chat. "You're 6 months behind on your HOA fees, $3,000. Special assessment for lake dredging. Pay by 5 p.m. today, or we enforce the lien." That means demolition. That word landed like a punch. Demolition. Of my home. Of my family's history. I tried reasoning with her. Showed her every canceled check, every ledger, even a stack of old newsletters. There was nothing about any special assessment. It was all a lie. And it didn't matter. She had the board in her back pocket, the office voicemail full, the doors locked. It was all a setup. Linda wanted my cabin gone, and nothing I did would stop her. Next morning, sun barely up, I find my neighbor Henderson standing in my driveway, white as a ghost. "Jack, I tried to call you. They came an hour ago." I walked past him and saw nothing where my cabin had stood except a pile of splinters and glass. My boots crunched on what used to be my floor. I found a picture of my late wife lying in the dirt, glass cracked. They hadn't just knocked down a shack, they'd dynamited my soul. I felt myself go cold inside. That was the moment I stopped being scared and started planning. The thing about a small town is folks start picking sides real quick. Some came by, mumbling their sympathies, but most just stared from their porches, curtains twitching, eyes full of calculation. Nobody wanted to cross the HOA. That afternoon I sat in my truck, railing from the porch in the passenger seat, and called Sarah. I could barely get the words out. "Dad, no, not the cabin, not our place." I heard her cry, and it broke something inside me all over again. But if you think I was about to let that be the end, you don't know me. I drove straight to the HOA office. Linda was there, Martha Sims at her side, Martha with the face like she was born frowning. I laid out my file, all the proof in the world. "You broke the law, Linda." She just smiled like it was funny. "Mr. Reynolds, your payments were for standard dues. The assessment was separate. Maybe if you'd paid attention." She dismissed me with a wave, told me to get lost. You ever try arguing with a cinder block? That was what it felt like. That night, Tom Delgado, old Army buddy, called. "You need to see the live stream, Jack." HOA meeting, Linda in front of the flag, acting like she just saved the whole community from ruin. Never said my name, just called me the property. Said they were protecting the neighborhood, selling my empty lot to a responsible new member. I watched the comments. Some folks cheered. Others were angry. But most they just wanted to believe things would go back to normal. I shut the laptop. That was the last time I let myself cry over it. I started digging. As a homeowner, I demanded to see the HOA's records. Linda gave me 5 dusty boxes of chaos, hoping I'd give up. But I used to troubleshoot electrical systems for the Army. I could spot a bad connection in a mile of tangled wires. Invoices for landscaping from a company with no address. $5,000 for pool pumps we didn't own. And then the jackpot, A $75,000 invoice from Clearwater Solutions, LLC, supposedly for emergency lake dredging, no business license, no tax ID, logo looked like it was made on a busted copy machine. Signature at the bottom? Matched Linda's exactly. She hadn't just signed off, she created the damn thing herself. I started knocking on doors. Thought maybe, with proof, folks would stand up. Henderson just went pale. I can't, Jack. She'll find a way to take my house. One neighbor after another, all afraid. Linda had built her own little dictatorship, rewarding loyalty and crushing dissent. And soon, the petty harassment started. Martha Sims measuring my grass, fining me for my trash cans, public shaming in the newsletter. I became the villain, the troublemaker. Sarah called, worried, sick. Dad, let it go. Please. Even my wife started saying it. We're losing ourselves, Jack. Come back to us. But letting go meant letting Linda win. I couldn't live with that. Then one night, alone in my garage, staring at the plat map, I noticed a faint dotted line. The lake wasn't part of the HOA. It was its own parcel, floating in legal limbo for decades, never claimed after the developer went bankrupt. Linda's lake wasn't hers. She'd spent all our money maintaining something she didn't own. I found the deed buried in county records, proof positive. Called Tom. He brought in Miller, a real estate lawyer, mean as a snake. It's complicated, but we can do it, he said. But it has to be quiet. I put every dime I had on the Limey retirement, my wife's nest egg, all of it. Sarah was furious. You're losing everything, Dad. What if it doesn't work? I couldn't make her see this wasn't just about a shack. This was about right and wrong. Miller did his thing. While he filed the claim, I went out to the old spillway, solar-powered, never-needed dredging. Filmed the whole thing. Documented it all. Had every piece ready. The fake invoice, the bogus dredging, the truth about the property line. But when I showed all at the next HOA meeting, Linda just smirked. Her loyalists turned it back on me. Maybe if you paid attention, Jack. Maybe if you cared about the community. Folks just wanted peace, not a fight. I left that meeting feeling more alone than ever. Tom called that night. You hold the line, soldier. This ain't over. And he was right. 3 weeks later, Miller's email came. The parcel is yours. I own the lake. Not the HOA. Me. I bought a stack of no trespassing signs, a padlock as big as my fist, and chained off every access point. Barbecue Day, the HOA's big annual bash, Linda tried to give her speech, but half the crowd was busy watching me live stream the news. I held up the fraudulent invoice, the deed. The HOA's authority ends here, I said. You want to fish? Want to use the dock? Ask me. Linda went berserk, screaming, waving bogus covenants, calling the cops. The deputy showed up, looked at my paperwork, looked at hers, and well, it's just say Linda left in handcuffs, charged with trespassing, vandalism, and felony forgery. Yeah, instant karma. The rest of the board quit. The whole HOA was done overnight. We rebuilt from scratch. Tom led a new committee, this time out in my front yard, not in some clubhouse fortress. The lake? I leased it back for $1 a year, on 2 conditions. Every resident had a vote, and the name had to change. Silver Creek Lake became Sarah's Lake, in honor of my daughter, the kid who'd learned to walk and hope again on those shores. Neighbors who'd stayed quiet during the fight now came to help me rebuild my cabin. Henderson brought his tools. Tom organized crews. The wives brought food. We found pieces of the old Placido or knob, mug, photo frame, and buried them under the new foundation, letting go of the pain. That fall, we had the first Sarah's Lake community fishing day, kids running wild, neighbors laughing, the smell of cedar and grilled burgers in the air. Justice doesn't always look like a courtroom win. Sometimes it's a community rediscovering itself, a father and daughter watching the sun dip behind a rebuilt porch, knowing that this time, nothing and no one can take it away. You tell Muas I right to fight? Was it justice or revenge? Drop a comment, argue it out. But I'll tell you this, don't ever let anyone bulldoze what matters most to you, especially not a queen with a clipboard. And if you think HOA bullies need to be brought down a notch, you know what to do. Hit subscribe, stick around, because around here, justice always finds a way home.